Hey, welcome back to Let's Eat with Russ. Today I'm going to show you how I make a perfect steak. This is my process. So I got it in a plastic bag here, but I take it out of the fridge and set it on the counter. They say 30 minutes, but I go at least an hour. You want it to get to room temperature, ideally, before you cook it. This is a nice, super fat, like 2-inch thick, boneless ribeye. So first thing is you want to give it a good salt. I like to use the coarse ground sort of rock salt. For a steak this thick, you can go a little bit heavy, especially if you're going to cook it on the grill, because once the juices start flowing out, a lot of the salt is going to fall off into the fire anyway. And the way I'm going to do it in my grill pan, basically the same thing's going to happen. I like to freshly grind some peppercorns over it. And for me, I'm a little bit of a steak purist. I do salt and pepper only on a good steak. I don't do garlic or rosemary or anything else, just salt and pepper. A good steak, that's all it needs. So I pat it in a little bit to get it to stick. Flip it over, hit the other side. So once I get it to this point, after I salt and pepper it, I'm going to let it continue to just kind of hang out on the counter for another at least 20, maybe 30 minutes. It lets the salt kind of soak in a little bit with the meat and draw the juices out. So check back in, I'll be cooking it shortly. So I actually ended up getting distracted with a really long phone call and then got distracted with other things. So I actually ended up letting this thing sit after I salted it for several hours, a lot longer than I expected, but it'll still be fine. As you can see, the salt has kind of pulled some of the juices out of the meat, and I assure you this will still be a very delicious, juicy steak. So I'm going to heat up the cast iron grill pan and start cooking it in a few minutes. All right, about ready to get going on this steak. It's already salted and peppered and rested, room temperature, ready to go. This is my cast iron grill pan, as they call it. It helps compensate for this kind of half-assed kitchen that I'm working in at this moment. So I can build up enough heat in the pan that I can still get a good sear on the steak. And to tell if it's hot or not, you can just run your hand under some water and just flick some droplets in there, and if they basically do that and kind of almost instantly vaporize, we're hot enough. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this guy on. I prefer to use tongs instead of a fork, so I don't have to stab the meat and let the juices escape any more than they have to. So based on the thickness of this steak, it's cut a little uneven, unfortunately, but it's about almost 2 inches thick. So it'll probably be, for me, my target is always going to be medium rare to rare, because I don't want to ruin a perfectly good steak by going well done. So I'll probably give it, I'm guessing, I'll probably give it about anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes on each side. Usually you want to go a little bit longer on the first side, then once you flip it, you can usually do a shorter time if you got it right. So I won't make you sit here and watch the whole thing cook, but stay tuned. I'll check on it again in a few minutes. All right, it's been just about 10 minutes. And with a ribeye, it's a little easier. You can kind of cheat because you really don't want to cut into the meat to check if it's done or not. So you can kind of peek between the fat folds and get a glimpse of how it looks like it's coming along. So it's still pretty rare, but as you'll see, the other side is pretty well cooked. Got a nice crust on that end there at least. So I'll probably give it about another maybe, I don't know, 7 to 9 minutes and check back in on it and see where we're at. Again, my target is always medium rare to the rarer side. That's just how I like my steak. So I'll check back in when it gets closer to done. All right, so it's been about 8-9 minutes. I think we're basically there. I'm going to show you really quick what they call the poke test. So if you take your hand like this and you put your finger and your thumb almost touching and you poke the meat of your thumb, that's what rare feels like. And if you touch them together, that should be about medium rare. If you bring your other finger in, that's about medium. Bring in the third finger, that's medium well. And if you bring in all 4 fingers, that's what well done feels like. So you can do, what they call the poke test. And that still feels pretty medium rare to me. So I'm going to pull it off. And especially for a steak this thick, you're going to want it let it just sit and rest for easily at least 5 minutes, maybe even as much as 10. And you can, again, if we're cheating a little bit with the ribeye, it still looks pretty nice and red, pink inside, which is what I'm looking for anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this off, throw it on the plate, and let it rest for a few minutes while I get the rest of the stuff prepped for it. So anyway, that's my process to make a nearly perfect steak. Again, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.